Hello and thank you so much for joining me today for day 28 of Scraptember 2022, and today's prompt is the sketch that you will have just seen on the screen by Laura Alberts. It's an absolutely fabulous sketch, definitely not my usual style, so I wanted to work out how I could create something that was my own. What I saw from the sketch was the grid on the left hand side with some embellishments in each of the squares, and then the two 3x4 photos on the right hand side with the title underneath and journaling underneath, which I was very comfortable with. So as you can see here, I've grabbed my very thin black pen and I'm creating my own form of a grid on the left hand side. It doesn't end up like this, but this is just my starting point. So these two photos are of my son at his rugby presentation evening last December. As you can see, it's very blue lighting and the team colours are blue. So overall I'm going for navy blue with a little bit of yellow mixed in, which is actually the colours of Warrington Wolves Rugby League team, which is the team where we live. So I thought this was quite apt, and the trophies and presentation was made by one of the Warrington Wolves players. So it was all very, very nice and very fun at a local social club. So I've pulled out this paper with the scissors on, not because of the scissors, just because I wanted something that was relatively white, but didn't want to just use plain white, which I tend to do to map my photo. So you won't be able to see that it's scissors, but it just gives a hint of something in the background. And then once those are cut down, I'm going to find another piece to map these onto, and I end up with a navy blue piece. I won't bore you with watching it all because it would get very repetitive, but here I am just sticking down the photos onto that mat, and then I'll choose the blue paper again from the 6x8 paper pad, and I'm very excited to be using the new Vicki Boutin print shop papers. They're absolutely gorgeous, perfect for this. And you can see on the left hand side there in that tab I've got all of the papier pieces. There are over 200 in the pack and they're phenomenal. I can't wait to really get stuck in, but this is my first little foray into print shop. So just trying to work out the positioning of the photos, and that does take me a little while, but I end up like this, so I'm just going to glue them together so that I don't lose that. And then once that's down, I think I do turn my attention back to that grid. So let's see what happens. So first of all, I'm just pulling a scrap of paper from those mats, and this is going to be put above the two photos. The yellow works really nicely, like I say, with the navy. Look at that green piece, but I don't want to introduce another colour really. So just sticking with the navies and yellows. So this is a very old Ellie Studio stamp set that I've got, and I was drawn to the lines on it because I thought I could enhance the grid a little bit more. It's a bit too pale and into the background, seeing as it's such a big part of the layout. So I just adding some navy blue, the chip sapphire ink pad, using these lines, and then I will go in with vintage linen, which is a pale yellow after these, just to mix it up a bit. And once I've done that, I'm actually going to activate the oxides with water this down, and it gives the most amazing effect. I'll just stamp it all and then you'll see what I mean. So as you see, just mixing the antique linen in with the chip sapphire, just so that I've got both colours on that grid. And then, like I said, I'm going to water it down, and it creates like a watercolour effect all over the page. And this grid actually reminds me of the goalposts on a rugby pitch, so it worked out quite well. That wasn't, I can't claim that to be my intention when I started doing this, but Oh, I was just so happy with the overall effect. So now that's all done, I'm going to turn my attention back to the photos and try not to smudge that grid while it dries. So I'm using the rounded notebook punch from EK Success that I got from Hey Little Magpie, my shop, and just adding a bit of detail to that piece of paper that's going to go above the two photos there. So as you can see, it's better than just having a plain piece of paper, and because the reverse is navy, it's quite nice when all these pieces are bent down. So just adding texture and dimension there. And then I'm going to go in with some of these papier-mâché pieces. And these pieces on the top of my pile there are actually washi tape. So they'll go down semi-transparent and they're amazing. Absolutely love them. So just working my way through. There's an awful lot, as I say, to work through. There are over 200 pieces in the pack. So it is fantastic value. And the paper pieces are lovely and thin. So just keep checking through to see what else. And I come across this notebook paper, which I like the look of, and that says important reminder at the top. So I think that would be quite nice. I have a look at this Oh Happy Day, but then decide that I want my title to go down there really, and it's not going to be Oh Happy Day. So love this film strip. I'm obsessed with film strips at the moment. So as you can probably see how thin it's tissue thin, this paper, it's beautiful. So just seeing exactly where to put everything. And you can see it's overlapping on the right hand side slightly, but I'm just doing that so that I don't smudge the grid while it's drying. So these ink splats that I've just put there on top of that circle are also a washi sticker, as is that alphabet. So these will all be adhered down once I'm happy with the placement. Again, that circle is a washi sticker. And continuing to go through. And I find this, oh no, it's not that piece. I do find a tag which goes up at the top. Here we go, it's this one. And that's nice. And it's introducing a little bit of red, but I'm fine with that. It's the only bit of red that's on the page, and it just makes it pop a little bit. So just trying different things, working out exactly what I want. One last quick look at what's left in the bottom. And I find these rings, which I prefer to that solid circle. That solid circle might come in handy somewhere else. So just having a play, and then I shall start to stick these pieces down. Just finding one more ink splatter. And now going through the sticker book. Vicki Boutin's pulled it out of the bag again. These are amazing. So I'm starting to think about embellishing this grid. I don't want to add too much to it, but just to give a nod to the sketch that Laura did, I wanted to add some embellishments to the grid. So that one that I've put down there says good day, and then this one says we had fun. So both in keeping with the evening's events. Just seeing what else is on there. On to the next pack of 2 stickers. And here I see there's a safety pin with a navy blue banner, and I think that might be quite nice towards the top. So just adding that there. I look at these words. At first I don't think there's anything that I want to use, but then the yellow one, I see there's one that says, this gives me a reason to smile. So again, that gets added to the grid on the left hand side. I put this towards the bottom because it's quite large. And I really like how that's starting to fill up now. Like I say, I don't want to add too much there, but it's just to give a nod to the sketch. Now that's a chipboard piece from the chipboard pack, as is this pointy finger. So they both go on. And now I'm just dabbing up the excess water so that I can really start putting things down. So I'll start by gluing down the pieces to the back of this photo. So slowly just adding one at a time. Being careful not to move things too much. And now those pieces are all glued down together as one mat, I can turn my attention to these wonderful washi stickers. So I start with the circle, and it's great having all those pieces together on that mat because I can just move it out of the way as I glue these down. Well, I'll stick them down because they're stickers. Next with this ring, and they are a little bit fiddly because they're so thin, because they're washi, but they're very strong as well, so you don't need to worry too much about tearing. And even if you did tear, you could just stick them back together again and you wouldn't notice the tear because they're so thin. So you'll see it all curls up, and I am a bit worried about how I'm going to get it on. But you just start with one piece and slowly manipulate it into place. And there, it's down. So I'm really going to have fun with these pieces. I think there's a set of papier in the parasol range as well from, is it Maggie Holmes? Yeah, I think it's Maggie Holmes. So I'm going to have a look through those because I may well have to have them as well. So finally this alphabet sticker will go down underneath the photos. With hindsight, I probably should have stuck that down before sticking the photos down, but I was worried about the placement of the photos. And if I'd stuck this down first, I guarantee I would have ended up sticking the photos over the top and you wouldn't be able to see it. So just these ink splats now to add. And in true Sarah style, I picked the second one up to stick down and then couldn't remember where I put it because I was really happy with the placement there, but then I stick it down further across. I don't know, but by the time I've added the title and everything, it's probably best that it's there anyway. So just going in with these chipboard pieces now and getting those glued down, and then we can see what else we need on the layout. So I go into my trusty little tub of labels that I stamped using my Ellie's Studio label stamp. I try one in Uncharted Mariner, but I prefer this Chip Sapphire, the navy, and because that's what I used when I was stamping as well. It looks much better. And then I look and find one in antique linen as well. And I think I'm going to put it on this side, but then I realise that I'm covering up too much of that lovely film strip, so for now it just settles down at the top there. I don't glue them down yet because I'm not quite sure. So again, going through the sticker book to see what else, and then I see these tabs, and I think actually I prefer to have a tab up there rather than the label. So add the tab there with a view to stamping the date on it after. I'm saying sticking because I was watching myself thinking, please tell me that I remembered to stick that label down, but I did. So I just pull off the happy sticker here and add that to the top of the photo. Because he really enjoyed himself that night. And this round one with gold detailing is lovely. So again, gets added to the grid. And then I add a couple of the gold ink splatters just to finish that all off. Nothing else there, so now going in with the title. And the title is going to be Ryland Sharks, which is the name of the team that James plays for. And then underneath, in a smaller letter, I'm going to put Rugby Presentation Evening. So now going in with some linen thread just through that hole of the tag at the top, just to finish that off. And then of course adding the date with my roller date stamp to that tab that I've put at the top there. Now when I stamp it, it goes a little bit high and I was concerned you couldn't really read it, so I've also added it to that label at the top there. Now the journaling, which will just go from that line of blue on the grid at the bottom underneath the pointy hand, across and right underneath the title. And I've just put, we had great fun at your presentation evening at Tetley Walker Club, and even more fun and games walking home with your framed rugby shirt. It was heavy because the club's a good 1.5 miles away from home, and it was a cold December night, and yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but between my husband and I we coped. I don't know why we didn't get James too, because he's the strongest of the lot of us, but there you go. So went back through the papery and found this little ticket tab, and then the camera from the sticker book, and just adding a little tag down the side of that, just to add a little cluster at the top, again just for interest. So while I'm doing that, I just want to remind you to have a look at the description box down below to check out the other creatives joining in on this wonderful hop. It's nearly at an end now. I've really enjoyed myself. There are some fabulous talented ladies and gents joining in, so do go and check that out. And if you enjoy what you're seeing, I'd love if you give me a like and subscribe. It's always fun to chat with you in the comments, so if you have anything to say, I'd love to hear from you. And I shall just leave you now to watch the rest of this video. I'll go in with some more stickers from the sticker sheet just to splatter around, and finally some Nouveau drops, which I'm doing now in navy and then in yellow. Thank you so much for joining me, and I shall see you tomorrow for the next prompt. See you then. Bye.